First question is pretty easy. What is your message going to be tonight? Obviously, it's a huge night, the 75th anniversary. So, what is going to be the point, and what are you going to be talking about tonight and trying to impart on some of these people here in Fort Wayne?
Well, I'm hoping to share one of our mottos here at Kelly Cares Foundation is to use your time, treasure, and talent to make a positive change. And that's part of a lot of base of what I'm going to be talking about tonight, and a little bit share some of the stories that I had during my cancer journey.
Yeah, as a two-time cancer survivor, what are some of the things that you can tell people that are maybe going through the process or have someone that they love going through the process that they can kind of take to heart and use in their everyday life?
Well, as a patient, I would tell you to learn to accept help and also be that person on the other side and be willing to give help when they need it. And sometimes it's a little thing that they need, and sometimes it might be a bigger thing. And everybody's different, just like anyone else's needs day to day are different. But knowing who your patient is and letting them work through it. I mean, it's a lot to take in initially, and then just to set those goals of getting done with chemo, getting done with surgery, instead of I can't wait to be done. And that's kind of how one of the ways I did it was we kind of blocked it out.
I was listening to your run through, and you talked about how you guys just moved to Cincinnati and you got diagnosed for the second time. How did you make that all work? Because you had a young family, you're in a new place, your husband's got a high profile job. It just seemed like there's a lot going on. How did you make that work?
Well, honestly, it was a little less scary the second time, just because the cancer part was not so foreign, and there were so many new things that happened that first time through. So I was kind of expecting that the second time, but it was manageable because I didn't have the family base and the friends nearby, but the amount of people that came to our assistance, even though we'd only really been there like 10 weeks, kids and their families that were in their new school came out and said, well, this is kind of what happens during the fall. If you need some help, we can take you there. And so it's kind of like living in Mayberry, and the Mayberry family came out, and they really did help us through it.
Tell me a little bit about the Kelly Cares Foundation, what you guys have been able to do, and kind of what the next step is for you guys. I know, obviously, you've done a lot of great things in South Bend, so people in Fort Wayne might not be as aware of some of the things that you've done.
Well, our statistics, so we had our 10th year anniversary last year, and I know we're celebrating the 75th anniversary here, and, we never put any goals out there of what we're going to get done, and we're just going to let things happen. And, in the 10-year marker, we've actually raised and given back over $5.1 million, and 4 different countries, and I don't know, 30-some different states. So we actually have done a lot of things in different places, and a lot of that blessing is our Notre Dame people are everywhere, and so when we've been to other places, they've come out and both asked us for help and then also reciprocated by giving us help.
How do you juggle, you're doing events like this, obviously you went down to Louisville, I imagine, for the opener. You've got 3 kids who have their own lives, but are also very, by the phone call, very involved in yours as well. How do you make it all work, in season when things are perhaps at their craziest?
Sometimes it's a little harder because they're older, because then they have their own schedules. But I have 2 in college, so one's at Grand Valley State and one's at Notre Dame, and my youngest is a senior. So it's the juggling the football Friday nights and then doing the college on Saturdays. And so we make it work just like everybody else.
All right. I have to ask you a football question. Sure. Your take on the team this year, obviously, a win against Louisville on a Labor Day is a good way to get it started. But kind of what'd you see out there, and what did Coach bring home afterward?
Well, they were all tired when coming home, but the reality is, we were talking about it a little bit last night, and getting that first game and that first W is so important. They played like they were playing against each other, and then once they started rolling, you could see the physicality and their speed kind of bump up, and so I think we got good things coming around the corner.
Kind of off topic, but as a former chemistry teacher, do you understand, kind of take this at a different perspective as the science of when it comes to cancer and when it comes to the body, when it comes to healing? Do you come at it at a different perspective than many people would if they didn't have that science background, that chemistry background?
Well, I wouldn't call me a superstar chemist in the terms of what they do at that level and cellular biology. I'll leave that to the doctorates, but it's easier maybe for me to understand than the layman, in terms of some of it.
Yeah.
But still, we've been involved with sponsoring some doctoral projects through Harper Cancer Institute, and allows us to understand, the different ways that we're trying to beat cancer, whether it's the treatment of it or actually stopping it before it starts and becomes cancer. So that has helped me a little bit in terms of understanding all the different ways we're trying to stop this terrible disease.
Good. Dylan?
Yeah, I guess obviously you talked about being in South Bend, the Notre Dame community getting behind you, and Kelly Cares.
Yeah.
How much has that meant to you to have the Notre Dame community kind of in your corner like that?
You know what? I'm going to say this about the Midwest in general. If Cincinnati is still considered the Midwest because it's just on the end of it, or the South End, but there's something about Midwest people. They just really are very giving, and I think God put us here for all the right reasons, and has allowed us to be successful in making a difference. And the people that have joined us, I go to a lot of fundraisers, and it's the same. They're the same people, some of the different people because of the different venues of the fundraising, but people are giving, and I think they want to give. And one of my messages tonight just is, it's not huge checks that you have to write. Some people have talents that they can give, and some have time that they can give, and we're all at different places in different parts of our lives, and taking that time, one of probably the best things I've learned about being a nonprofit is I'm gaining more from my giving than being on the recipient end.
Saying that, knowing what the Midwest people are giving back to you, what does it mean to you to be able to come here and speak to me?
It's very humbling, and I'm very flattered to be asked, and I love to tell my story if it makes people understand how empowered they really are, and because I just see myself as this chemistry teacher that fell into this. It was never on my docket. And when we saw what happened, and Brian would ask me, how are you feeling today, honey? I said, honey, we're doing great. And we really were relative to everyone else that I'm seeing in treatment. I didn't have any snafus really. And I have other friends who since have gone through and had some, stumbling blocks. And we didn't have any of that. So we'd like to take that opportunity in our platform to raise money and awareness, and hopefully being people proactive, because the type of cancer I got was very aggressive, and I'm a BRCA1 carrier. In the end, it probably saved two other sisters' lives, because it wasn't anything that was on any of our radars. So being proactive is a good thing to be.
I wanted to ask you one football question as well. It's 10 years at Notre Dame now. This is your 10th season. What's the biggest change that you've seen in Brian in those 10 years?
Other than he looks like he's a little skinnier. You got him on a crazy diet?
No, I cannot take any of that credit, other than I'm a really bad cook. So, no, he's really done a good job at taking care of himself. I think we're all a little wiser the older we get. But he's also been doing it a very long time, and Notre Dame is a place that you can be successful. You've got great students and great administration and great support. A lot of great fans, and we're just really blessed to be here.
Good.